Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about the legendary SKX diver. We're going to be reviewing it and then talking a little bit about it because a lot of people in the past have said that this was the best diver to get your hands on as an entry-level diver. But with them being discontinued and the prices going crazy, a lot of people have been, rebuttaling that and saying, no, it isn't, that there are way better options out there. So I'm going to do a little bit of a breakdown, review for you guys, and then we'll talk a little bit about the subjective. Is it still worth it at these new prices? And is it a really good watch? But anyways, on the wrist, I have my Tag Heuer Aqua Racer. And if you do like the content, make sure to drop a like down below, subscribe to see more awesome stuff in the future. But anyways, let's just roll the intro, then get right into the content. All right, so let's just dive right down into the specs of this watch. And we have a 42 millimeter case size, that's excluding the crown. We have a 22 millimeter lug width, so that means that this is a literal strap monster. You can find straps super easy and bracelets super easy for this watch. You have a very compact lug to lug of 46 millimeters. Now it's actually aided with the fact that with this bracelet, it extends straight down off the lugs instead of extending out past the lugs. So that means that this is going to be super wearable on small and larger wrists alike. Now, last but not least, we have a case thickness of 13.5 millimeters, so it is a little bit of a chunky boy, and on this bracelet, it will definitely feel a little bit top heavy. And just for reference, this is what the watch looks like and how it sits on my 6 3/4 inch wrist. Now, the case itself has a brushed finishing on the top and then high polished on the side. Now we have to address the elephant in the room, okay? And that's Seiko's usage of Hardlex crystal. There are scratches on the crystal, and it just hasn't held up, to the test of time as opposed to something like a sapphire. Now remember, entry-level watch, entry-level specs, okay? So we have an unsigned screw-down crown at the 4 o'clock position, which is kind of interesting. Usually they're at the 3. And we also on the back have a very interesting, because I think it's kind of cool, we have this really cool screw down case back, which has an embossed tsunami wave on it. So the Seiko tsunami wave, which is really cool in my opinion. That gives you 200 meters of water resistance, and this is an ISO certified diver watch. Now we can talk a little bit about the bezel. It's famous for the bezel, and you have that really cool navy blue and then also the red. And this is an aluminum insert, and it's also there's the lume pip at the top, and it's a 120 click unidirectional bezel with very little, if no, backplate. Also, it's coin edge, and it is really, really, really nice. The feel on this feels a lot better than some other watches, namely the Orient Mako. The Orient Mako, I will tell you, is a pain in the butt to turn. I just want to pause and take one moment to talk about something that is a very, very common problem with the SKXs, and that is the alignment of the bezels and the chapter rings. This one, fortunately, we got lucky on, and it lines up. But the QC issue with these is that the bezel line won't line up, and the chapter rings sometimes don't line up either. And it is very, very frustrating that Seiko has this kind of quality control. I mean, yes, at an entry-level price point, but we've even seen this on some of their more expensive watches. And that is something to take into consideration. And there is a joke behind it saying that this is how you know that your Seiko is not a counterfeit. The bezel's misaligned. Ha, ha, ha. It's not actually that funny when you put your hard-earned money into buying these things. Can you hear that? That's the noise that the SKX bracelet makes. And it is a jangly, rudimentary at best, but very, very comfortable bracelet. And as Federico Talks Watches once said in one of his old videos, it looks like it requires Viagra with how much stretch and play there is. It's not a high quality bracelet, but man is it comfy. It features hollow end links, so as I said, not high quality, it's rudimentary, but it is comfy. Push pins. You have a very simple deployment clasp with a kind of a cheap, I would say it's pretty cheap clasp to be honest. Fold over lock and 5 points of micro adjust. So it will give you plenty of room to adjust it. However, there is no diver's extension. All right, let's excuse the fingerprints, but now that I've zoomed in on this, we're going to talk a little bit about the dial. So starting with the contrasted white day and date wheels at the 3 o'clock. So you have a day and date function. That's really, really, really awesome. And it's nice and legible. However, I just wish they put a border around it. That's my personal preference. I wish they put a border around it. And it's contrasted on that really nice, kind of a matte, dark blue, navy blue dial. It almost looks black in some lightings, but it's a very, very dark blue. All the text on this dial and the indices are printed on. They're not applied. It is what it is. And it says Seiko Automatic Divers 200 meters and then 7S26 002RR2. Now, a little fun fact for you guys, the way that you can tell the difference between the JDM models and the models that were made in Indonesia, or the international models as they call, is it will say 21 joules right below Divers 200 meters, and then it'll say made in Japan right next to that movement. We want to talk about the handset. The handset's pretty cool, I think. I mean, you kind of have all this. I think it kind of looks like a syringe hand for the hours. Then you have that arrow hand for the minutes. And now this is the part where I don't get. They put the lollipop like second hand, but it's the back side is the lollipop balloon pip and not the front, which I think is kind of bizarre. And obviously, Seiko does use its proprietary loom, LumiBright, which is crazy good. So powering this watch is the 7S26 movement. It is an in-house movement. So for all the people who really, really care about in-house movements, it checks that box. It gets 41 hours of power reserve. However, there is no hacking or hand winding. Let me repeat that. No hacking, no hand winding. To start this little guy up, you got to take it and you got to shake it. That's how you're going to get it to start, okay? Now, the other thing I want to talk about, just a little bit about the accuracy, okay? The accuracy stated by Seiko is -20 to +40 seconds a day, okay? I would say, because it's unregulated, you're going to be perfectly happy if it runs at +30, so that's half a minute. It's by no means really accurate, but it's not losing or gaining minutes a day. So the crown is fairly easy to operate. However, I will say this. You really got to push it back in to engage it, okay? And have it thread back in. You really got to push it in. Now, the first position, when we pull the crown out, we'll set the day of the week if we turn it counterclockwise, and there is Spanish on this day wheel, so one of the features of the international version. And then if we turn it clockwise, we will set the date. And the second position will set the time. So let's get to the part of the video that you guys actually care about. The part where you probably the reason why you probably clicked on this video to start with is hearing my opinion. Is this watch a good watch, and is it even still worth it in 2021 and beyond? So now I want to address the elephant in the room, and that's talking about the price and the MSRP and the prices these things are going for. Now, back in the day, $250 US, that's $320 Canadian, so not a whole lot of money. And that's why these things were so loved. That's why people bought them, because at that price, the specs are insane. Now, these things are going for about $400 Canadian, all the way up to about $650 Canadian, depending on, box, papers, condition. And I've seen them even go up for more. So that's about $355 US, all the way up to about $500 US, which is a little bit on the high side, if you ask me. And it was kind of interesting. In a local buy and sell group, I saw one of these. It was the 007 variant reference being sold for $1,200. Mind you, I don't know if anybody bought it. I don't think anybody would, because that's kind of pure stupid sauce, if you ask me. And I think, honestly, that's a lot to pay for this watch. That is a lot to pay, and it's a lot of money for not a lot of specs. And that's where I really want to get to, okay? While this watch is an amazing watch, there are shortcomings. The Hardlex crystal, the rattly jangly bracelet, while, it's amazing, endearing, and comfortable, I mean, quality, there are better ones out there, right? The fact that it's not a signed crown, and the movement, not having hacking or hand winding, this is a very antiquated movement. And there are things to be said about that. The specs for what it is don't really support the price. That's all I'm saying. There are better options out there for your money, and even that's kind of same within the Seiko lineup. There are better options for your money. However, there's something that's a little bit subjective. This watch is cool. The cool factor is what makes people buy this. That's why they're popular. That's why people buy them. They're well spec'd for what they were at MSRP. I would have bought 10 of these at MSRP. That's a good value. Not really good value now, but the cool factor is crazy, okay? Rarely do you get to own an icon of this kind of status for, under $1,000 and loved by watch collectors. And that comes from people owning very expensive all the way to entry level. They all respect the SKX. It's an icon. And there's something to be said about owning an icon. Is it worth the price that people are asking for now? I don't really think so. That's my personal opinion. However, I can't deny the icon status. I can't deny how cool it is. So realistically, it comes down to, are you personally willing to pay that price? Are you willing to pay for the icon status? If you aren't, then it's not a good purchase. If you are, you're getting one heck of a watch. Now, while the specs might not be the best and people are going to crap on it, it is something to look at. Also, want to mention this. The fact that literally every single deficiency of this watch can be overcome by the sheer modability of this watch is something to be pointed out. You can get a ceramic bezel insert. You can overcome the crappy hardlex crystal by putting in a sapphire one. Screw down crown, you want a signed crown, you can get that. You want a different movement, people are modifying NH35s and putting them in this case. There are so many options for you. You can get, different dials, different bracelets. The world is your oyster when it comes to this. This is literally the Honda Civic or Acura Integra of the watch world. You can mod them. You can make this your own watch. Every single deficiency can be overcome if you're willing to put the money into the platform and the work. This can be, and really, if you want to regulate it, it can compete. This is a great platform. And if you like the platform, if you want to invest in it, I think it's a great watch. Do I personally believe it's a great value? No, I don't think it's a great value at the current prices. However, I do think it's an amazing watch. Okay, so that's my verdict, and I could probably go on and on and on. But obviously, disclaimer, it's just my opinion. Your opinion might be different, so take it with a grain of salt. But anyways, thanks so much for watching and getting to the end of this. I'll catch you later. I'll see you in the next one. So take care. You guys have a fantastic day.